I'm the night guard at a half-empty office building in the heart of downtown. Most of the floors are vacant, collecting dust, except for 2 small offices on the 2nd and 3rd floors that clear out completely after 6 p.m. My shift starts at 9. A thermos of coffee, a few rounds through the silent hallways, some movie watching on my phone, and then just silence. A silence that sometimes feels heavier than loneliness itself, like a weight pressing down on your chest, making it hard to breathe. But last Tuesday night, everything changed. It was past 2 a.m. I was lazily flipping through the security cameras, half asleep, when something on the monitor snapped me awake. A shadow, moving down the hallway on the 5th floor. That floor is a ghost town. No offices, no electricity, nothing. The elevator doors up there are even locked because no one set foot on it in years. But that shadow, it was short, hunched, like it was sniffing for something. It darted across the screen and vanished. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Tired eyes, bad lighting. But a sick feeling, like a cold nail dragging down the back of my neck, wouldn't let go. I grabbed the floor keys, checked my walkie-talkie, and with legs that felt like they belonged to someone else, headed to the elevator. I pressed the button for the 5th floor. The elevator lurched upward with a sluggish groan. In those few seconds, a strange smell filled the air. Not quite burning, not quite chemical, but something like wet cloth rotting under a merciless sun. My heart was racing, but I told myself, "Idiot, it's just a shadow. Probably a rat or a stray cat." The door slid open. Pitch black. The only sound was the faint tick-tick of burnt-out fluorescent bulbs, pulsing like the heartbeat of something dying. I flicked on my flashlight, its weak yellow beam trembling as if it, too, was afraid of the dark. I stepped into the hallway. The sound of my boots on the cracked tiles echoed like gunfire. The central air system wheezed, like the labored breaths of an old man on his deathbed. I checked each room. Every door was locked, the rusty padlocks untouched for years. No signs of anyone breaking in. I was starting to convince myself I'd imagined it when a sound, a soft tap-tap from the end of the hallway, like a door being opened and closed, not rushed, not forced, as if someone was testing it, feeling it out. I swung my flashlight toward the noise. My heart was in my throat. I ran to the last room, a corner office you could barely find on the building's blueprint. The lock was undone, not broken, not tampered with, just open. I pushed the door and swept the light inside. The room was empty. White walls, cracked and stained with yellow. A cold, bare concrete floor. But what froze the blood in my veins was how clean it was. Not a speck of dust, not a single smudge. Like someone had scrubbed it spotless minutes ago. The sharp smell of disinfectant, like a hospital's, hung thick in the air. In the middle of the room sat a single rusted metal chair. On it, a used bandage, still damp, and a long black thread like something torn from old clothing. My breath caught. Then, a loud ping shattered the silence. The elevator. Someone had pressed the button. Every hair on my body stood on end. I killed the flashlight and pressed myself against the wall by the door. My heart pounded like a war drum. I peeked into the hallway. A girl stepped out of the elevator. Long black coat, hair wet like she'd been caught in the rain, and steps so soft they barely made a sound, like a predator stalking prey. She walked straight toward the room I was in, like she knew exactly where I was. The dim hallway light caught her face for a split second. Her eyes, they didn't sparkle, but they weren't empty either. They were meaningless, like an unfinished painting. Something was in there, but it wasn't alive, wasn't dead. I tried to sound firm. "Ma'am, this place is closed. Who are you?" He looked at me. No blink, no words. She took a few more steps and stopped right at the door. Then, in a voice like a whisper from the bottom of a well, she murmured, "Did you see it?" "Who?" I asked. She stared, like she was searching my soul. Then she said, "The one that leaves but doesn't. The one that runs but is always right there." My brain locked up. I couldn't process what she meant. My hand went to my walkie-talkie, but before I could press the button, she turned back toward the hallway. No goodbye, no explanation, just walked away. I ran after her, but by the time I reached the elevator, the doors were closed. I hit the button, but it didn't budge, like the damn thing wasn't even working. I stumbled back to the security room, cold sweat soaking my shirt. I checked the monitors. The 5th floor camera. Nothing. No girl. No shadow. Just the dark hallway. But when I rewound the recorded footage, I saw something that still haunts my dreams. In one frame, just one, the camera glitched. The image flickered, then froze. In that split second, I saw myself, standing by that room's door, flashlight off. But behind me, a hunched man in a tattered hospital gown. His head rested on my shoulder, eyes closed, mouth open like he was whispering something. His face, God, his face looked burned, but not by fire. Something worse. I couldn't breathe. I didn't scream, didn't run. I just sat in the security room, staring at the blank monitor, until the first rays of sunlight crept through the windows. The next morning, I told management the 5th floor camera was busted. I didn't mention that night. I couldn't. Now, every shift feels different. There's a presence in the building, something that wasn't there before. The 5th floor monitor turns itself off, like it's refusing to show me what's up there. Sometimes, in the dead silence, I hear soft footsteps from above. Not fast, not slow, just a steady rhythm right over my head. And every time I pick up the walkie-talkie, before I can speak, there's a faint crackle. A whisper, like that girl's voice. Did you see it? Last night, while doing my rounds, I found something in the 1st floor hallway. A bandage, the same kind, lying on the floor. Next to it, a twisted black thread, like it was placed there on purpose. I didn't touch it. I just went back to my room and locked the door. I don't know what that shadow is, or what the girl wanted, but I know something's alive in this building. Not like you or me. Not like anything you can see or understand. Something that's waiting, and every night, it gets one step closer. It all started with an unknown call. It was 1:43 a.m. I was dragging myself home from a grueling night shift, slumped in the nearly empty subway car. The train was quiet, save for a few passengers lost in their phones or dozing off. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I usually ignore those, spam or wrong numbers. Nothing worth my time. But that night, something nudged me to answer. My fingers moved on their own. I picked up. At first, there was nothing. Just breathing, heavy and slow, like someone exhaling through a thin curtain. Hello? Anyone there? I said. Silence. Then, after a long pause, a man's voice, low and hushed, as if he didn't want to be overheard, whispered, "You passed by the door. Didn't you see me?" I froze. It was like someone had dumped ice water down my spine. My voice shook. "Sorry? Who is this?" No answer. Just the flat, endless beep of a disconnected call. The subway car felt colder, like the AC had kicked in overdrive. I tried to brush it off. Wrong number. Some prank, maybe a nutcase. But that line, "Didn't you see me?" lodged in my brain like a splinter. 5 minutes later, the same number called again. I didn't answer. My heart was racing, but I told myself, forget it, it's just a call. Seconds after, it rang a third time. Then a text popped up. I opened it, and my stomach dropped. "You shouldn't have walked past me." Now I was rattled. It felt like someone was watching me, close. I tore my eyes from the phone and scanned the car. At the far end, a man sat alone, his back to me. He wore a long gray coat, a wool cap pulled low, head bent like he was studying the floor. Had he been there before? I couldn't swear to it. Maybe he'd been there all along, but why was I only noticing him now? My phone buzzed again. Another text. "I'm still behind you." My breath caught. I whipped around, heart pounding. Nothing. Just rows of empty seats under the car's grimy yellow light. My pulse thundered in my ears. I turned back to the front, and the man was gone. The end of the car was empty, like he'd never existed. The doors hissed open at the next station. No one got off. No one got on. Just silence and the metallic tang of the tracks drifting in with a cold gust. My eyes dropped to the floor, right at my feet. A small brown package, like an old pharmacy bag, lay there. I was certain it hadn't been there when I boarded or when I sat down. I stared at it, didn't touch it, didn't move closer, just stared. The paper was crumpled, like it had been hastily wrapped. A black thread was tied around it, knotted tight, as if to make sure it stayed closed. My phone buzzed again. Another text. Don't open it until you get home. I was losing it. I spun around, searching every corner of the car. No one. Even the other passengers seemed to have vanished. The car was dead, empty. Just me, that package, and the screech of the train echoing through the tunnel. I could feel eyes on me from somewhere I couldn't see, like someone's breath was grazing my neck. At the next station, I bolted out as soon as the doors opened. I left the package behind. My heart was in my throat. I sprinted up the stairs, but before I hit the street, my phone rang again. Same number. I didn't answer, but a text followed. Why'd you leave it? Now I have to come find you. I took the stairs two at a time. The cold street air hit my face, calming me a fraction, but not enough. Every shadow, every sound, felt like that man in the gray coat tailing me. I ran all the way home, locked the door, yanked the curtains shut. I collapsed on a couch, gasping, and turned off my phone. I thought that would end it. It didn't. The next morning, I found a brown package outside my apartment door. Same black thread, same knot. It was the same package I'd left on the train, or so it seemed. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a photo, old and black and white, of a man in a gray coat, wool cap, head bowed. On the back, in jagged scrawl, were the words, "You saw me, but I didn't let you know. Since that night, I feel a shadow trailing me whenever I'm out. Not close, not far, just there. My phone doesn't ring anymore, but sometimes, when I'm alone, I hear breathing. Soft, heavy like that call. And every time I glance in a mirror for just a split second, I swear I see a hunched shadow behind my shoulder. A shadow that leaves but doesn't." My wife and I had just moved into an old apartment in the heart of downtown. The building was quiet, 3 stories, 2 units per floor. We were on the 3rd floor, right side. Above us was just the roof, or so we thought. There shouldn't have been any noise from up there. But on the first night, around 2 a.m., everything changed. We heard footsteps, not a one-off, not random. Loud, deliberate, measured, like someone pacing with purpose. Step, 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 pause, step, 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 pause. It was rhythmic, like a clock ticking in the dark. My wife, always the rational one, muttered, "Probably pipes or rats." I wanted to believe her, to chalk it up to something mundane. But there was a weight to those steps, an intent that made my skin crawl. The second night, it happened again. Clearer this time, right above our bedroom. 3 steps, silence. 3 steps, silence. Like someone was circling an invisible ring. In the dead of night, when the sound stopped for a moment, I swear I heard something else. A faint scratching, like nails dragging across concrete. Soft but undeniable. My wife was asleep, but I lay awake, eyes glued to the ceiling, waiting, listening. By morning, I couldn't take it. I grabbed a coat hanger, dug out the spare keys from the kitchen drawer, and headed for the roof access. The stairwell was narrow, damp, choked with cobwebs. When I reached the metal door to the roof, I saw the lock, rusted, heavy, like a relic from another era. It was clear no one had opened it in years. The dust and grime around it were untouched. Still, a gnawing dread told me something was behind that door. I pushed against it, but it didn't budge. I went back downstairs, but those steps, that scratching, clung to my thoughts like damp rot. The third night, the sound changed. Heavier, like the tread of someone in thick work boots, each step pressing against the roof, as if trying to crack it. This time my wife heard it too. She jolted awake, sat up in bed, and stared at the ceiling, her eyes wide. Her voice trembled. "That can't be pipes, can it?" I couldn't answer. We just listened. The footsteps kept going, but now there was something else. Whenever they stopped, a faint panting came through. Not like someone tired or out of breath, but deep, slow, like they were savoring the air. Like someone was standing right above us, head tilted down to the ceiling, just breathing. We didn't sleep. We turned on the bedroom lamp, but its light seemed too weak to push back the dark. Every few minutes, the steps returned. 3 steps, pause, breathing. 3 steps, pause, breathing. Around 4 a.m., I think, the scratching came again, but this time it sounded like something heavy being dragged across the concrete. Like a sack, or, God forbid, a body. The next morning, I talked to the building manager, a middle-aged guy who seemed clueless about everything. He said the roof's been locked for years, too dangerous to access. Even maintenance crews don't go up there. I asked if anyone else had a key. He said just him, and the lock hadn't been changed since the building went up. I wanted to explain more, but his look said he thought I was unhinged. I shut up and went home. By the 4th night, we were at our breaking point. My wife insisted we check the roof ourselves. I grabbed a kitchen knife, a heavy-duty flashlight, and we climbed the stairwell together. The walls felt closer, like they were pressing in on us. When we reached the roof door, my breath was ragged. The lock was still rusted, but something was off. The dust around it looked disturbed, like someone had tried to force it. My wife whispered, "Open it," but my hand wouldn't move. A voice in my head screamed that if I opened it, there'd be no going back. I shone the flashlight on the lock. A fresh scratch mark scarred the metal, like something sharp had clawed at it. My heart was in my throat. Then, from the other side of the door, came a deep, deliberate breath. Not loud, but close, like someone had their ear pressed to the metal, listening. We stumbled back. My wife grabbed my arm, and we ran downstairs. We locked our apartment door, shoved the couch against it, and spent the night staring at the ceiling. The sound didn't come that night. It was like it knew we were awake, like it was waiting. The next day, a neighbor from the first floor, an old woman who could barely walk, came to our door. She said, "Your footsteps at night are keeping us up." I told her, "It's not us, it's from the roof." She gave me a strange look, like she was hiding something. Then, in a low voice, she said, "This building doesn't have a roof. It's a flat ceiling. No one can walk up there." The world spun. I said, "But I saw the roof access door." She gave a bitter laugh. "That door leads to an old storage space under the eaves. It's never been a roof. We don't sleep in the bedroom anymore. We camp out on the couch in the living room, lamp on. But every night, at 2 a.m., the sound returns. Footsteps, breathing, and sometimes the scratching. Last week, when I worked up the nerve to peek out the window at the roof, I saw a shadow. Not clear, but a hunched shape, like it was staring down at me. When I blinked, it was gone. Yesterday, while sorting through the closet, I found something odd. A scrap of tattered cloth, old, stained with dark brown patches. In the middle was a metal button, the kind you'd see on old workmen's clothes. I'm certain it wasn't ours. My wife told me to throw it out, but I kept it, because I feel like if I get rid of it, whatever's up there will get angry. Now, every night, before the sound starts, I feel something watching from the other side of the ceiling. Not with eyes, not with a face, just with a cold, simmering rage. And every night, the breathing gets closer. Think you can sleep in an old apartment, knowing someone's pacing above you. Got the guts to listen to the sounds. Share your own terrifying tale with #RoofWalker and see how long you can last in the silence of the night. Just remember, if you hear something, don't look up.